Teen Librarian at the Clinton-Macomb Public Library, and in this video we are going to make a wildflower finger paint. So we have here our canvas, and the other supplies that we're using today for this program are, you want something to put your paint on, and we're going to be doing a lot of mixing. So if you use a paper plate, that's great. You can use newspaper, whatever, even printer paper if you want. There's a lot of mixing, so anything that's flat and wide is a good choice. You're going to want something to paint your background. It can either be a foam brush or it can be just a regular like 1-inch paintbrush, and that will work really well. And then we're going over the paints that we're using today. This has 7 different colors. It's going to be a very colorful painting when it's finished. So I'm just going to get the colors out. We'll put them on the canvas. I'll tell you which each one is, and then we'll get started with the background. Okay, so we have 7 colors. I'm going to put some on each. I'm going to move this around. Okay, perfect. So this is our base color, which is yellow ochre. It's like a golden yellow color. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of this on my tray. It's nice and thick, so sometimes it's hard to get a lot on the tray. We got that. And we need some green for our foliage and leaves and background. Excellent, we got a good chunk of green there. This is our burnt sienna, which is kind of like a copper or like a kind of like a tan. It's kind of brownish, kind of reddish. Put some of that there. Then next we have, I'm going to put yellow here. Putting them closer to the ones that they're going to mix with. So this is just a standard yellow. So we have yellow ochre and yellow. Okay. Then we have red. This is kind of a pink red, but it will work well for our purpose. It's definitely, I think, a color that you would see in a flower. We have a blue. You can use a lighter blue. We're going to be doing blue bonnets in the wildlife, or I keep saying wildlife, wildflower painting. So dark blue is great, but you can also make your blue darker. You can add some burnt sienna to it. And then finally, our white. And I'm going to make like 2 dollops of white. My white is kind of thin too, but that's actually good for mixing purposes. Okay, so I'll hold up my palette, and we have our yellow ochre, green, burnt sienna, yellow, red, blue, and white. So the first thing we're going to do is paint our background yellow ochre. And you just want to cover the white. It doesn't have to be a very thick coat, because the reason we're using this as a background color is just so we have golden undertones. I might just dampen my brush just a little bit. Gotta be careful not to dip my elbow in the paint while I'm doing this. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more water, a little more paint, and we're almost done with the background color. So just make sure that there's no clear white in the background. Flip this upside down. Okay, I could have put my gloves on already, but... So for finger painting, you can absolutely use your hands if you want to. Just use your hands. But in our kit, we have provided gloves. So I'm going to be putting on a glove for the finger painting. All right. It's just going to take a minute for that to dry, and then we will be putting on our glove and start finger painting. All right, well, we're waiting this to finish to dry. We're going to mix 3 different colors. So you can use your sponge brush, a paintbrush you have. You can use like a plastic spoon, a plastic knife, whatever you want. I'm just going to grab a spare paintbrush I have handy. And right here. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to mix some of the yellow ochre and green together. So just grab up some yellow ochre and grab up some green, and you want to mix them together. You want it to be like a pretty golden green. I think I want a little bit more green in this. That's a good color. And then I'm going to actually take some of this and put it closer to my yellow so that I can mix a little yellow in so we can have a lighter green. Maybe a little bit more yellow. Okay, so that's going to be our second color. And then our third color, what we're going to do is mix some green and burnt sienna. So you can grab some green. I'm going to put it here next to burnt sienna. Grab some burnt sienna and mix it together. And this is going to be the darkest tone that we have that's going to be on the painting. I'm going to add a little bit more green so it's a little more green overall. Kind of want it to be like a darkish green. Okay, great. That's looking great. Like that. Okay, so you have your 3 new colors. You have a dark green, like a medium green, and like a lighter green. All right, so my canvas is still just a tiny bit damp, but it should be good enough to paint over. And it's okay if the gold mixes with the colors that you're going to be using. So go ahead and you want to get your glove and put it on your hand, whichever hand you're going to be using for the finger painting. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put mine on my right hand and pull it as tight as you can down your hand, because you want to, you're probably going to be making sure that your fingers are at the edge of the gloves. You want to have as much precision as you can with your fingers while you're finger painting. So the very first, our background is going to be lots of greens and golds, and then we're going to paint the wildflowers over on top of that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab some of the dark color. I'm going to use my index finger. You can pull it tight as you can. I'm going to grab some of that. I'm going to grab a little bit of white. Grab a little bit of burnt sienna. And I'm going to go in this corner and just start painting. Go like that. You can do whatever kind of stroke you want with your finger. It doesn't really matter. It's the background. You will get to see a lot of this corner. The flowers are going to be on the right and the bottom. So you do want to cover the gold. But if it mixes in a little bit, that's absolutely okay. If it peeks out a little bit, that is also okay. So I'm going to do a couple more lines down. That nice mixed in. Let's go down a little bit further. All right, that's pretty nice. Then I'm going to take some more dark green, white, and burnt sienna, and I'm going to mix it up here. I think I want this to be a little lighter, so I'm going to grab a little bit more white. I'm pretty happy with that. That looks interesting. Then I'm going to take my light green, that I made with the yellow and the green mixture, and a little bit of the yellow ochre, and then some more white, and we're going to add it to this part right here. It's going to be great how much dimension this is going to have once we have the background done. It'll be great. So I'm going to just do that again, grab a little bit more of the green, a little bit of the more yellow. Oh, I did regular yellow. That's absolutely fine. I'll do regular yellow with the yellow ochre and the white. And I kind of want it a little bit lighter here anyway. So like that. All right. So actually I think I'm going to take a little bit of green and white and put it kind of in between where these were connecting. It's going to be a kind of a color we put in the middle. So again, with some green and some white. You don't want like super white streaks in your painting. So you do kind of want it to blend. So if you do have white streaks, you kind of want to go over it a bit. And then I kind of want, I'm going to do yellow and the light green in this corner here. I need a little more green. A little more yellow maybe. Yeah, I like that. That's a great color. You can go any direction. Sometimes I go up, sometimes I go down. I go diagonally a lot. And I'm gonna go like that a bit. Mix some of that in. Okay, mix a little bit of that in. And then we're going to do some dark green with some white. I want to lighten this up just a bit, so I'm going to add a bit more white to it over top. There we go. I got a different edge of my finger and then I got more green, but that was nice. And then I'm going to do a little more yellow and green over here. It's great because you can blend a lot on the canvas too. I'm going to add some of the darker over here because this is where our bluebells are going to be. So we kind of want a dark background here. It's just really fun. It's really enjoyable to actually like be able to feel the textiles, feel the paint that you're sliding around on the canvas. And we're going to add a little bit. I'm going to swirl this a little bit more and blend it just a little bit more in. But then we're going to add some just regular green here. It's going to go across to meet with our middle color. It's pretty. I really like the gold shining through. Okay, we're almost done. I'm going to add a little bit of the medium green and green. Just to add a little dimension. And then at the very bottom, we're going to continue with our dark green color where our blue bonnets are going to be. Kind of do some like little motions where you think leaves would be. And then blend it over a little. Green. All right, so that's good. That's our background. I'm just actually going to, this light green and the white, I think needs to fill out just a little more. So I'm gonna swirl that a little. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is we're going to wipe our gloves off because we want to start our wildflowers. And we're gonna let, first we're gonna let the canvas dry just a little bit. But while we're doing that, go ahead and wipe off your glove. I just happen to have some wet paper towels here. If you have wet wipes, that's great. We're not going to be using a lot of green since that was mostly background. We're going to be using white and yellow, red and blue for our flowers. Okay, so the painting has dried enough for us to start painting flowers on top of it. So the colors that we're going to use for our first one is we're going to use some, we're going to start over here, right here on our right hand side. And is this backwards? It is, isn't it? So your left, or my left, which is your right, because this is reverse. And then we're going to go ahead and put some white on our finger. Remember to pull your glove back. White. We're going to put a little bit of yellow and a little bit of the dark green. Okay. And then we're just going to paint what looks kind of like flower petals with our finger. And we do want it to be a little bit more white than that, so I put more white on my finger. Put a little bit more white on. And some flowers going down a little bit, down here. We also want a little here. All right. I'm going to wipe off my fingers with my wet cloth. So we have the first start of our flowers. Then we want to go in with mixing some yellow and red. So you can do that with your finger. I'm going to hold up my palette so you can see I'm mixing some yellow and red a little bit together. Not a true orange yet, but we're going to make some kind of flowers over here that are kind of yellow and red. And I think I'm going to go with my pinky too, because I want some smaller pieces. So make some smaller petals on this. Maybe one there. Okay, I like how that's looking. That's looking pretty great. And then we can actually space it out a little bit more too. That looks good. Now I think because that's a really cool like red yellow combo, but I really want some orange flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and mix some yellow and red to get an actual orange. So here's my orange on my palette that I just made. And I'm going to put that close to the, actually I think it needs maybe even a little bit more yellow. I want it to be a little bit brighter. So you can clearly distinguish it from the red color. I'm actually going to even add a little bit of white in there too. So, and then we're going to add some petals here. I'll show you what my new orange looks like. It's a lot lighter. But we want like some clear differentiation between the red and the orange. Now I'm not putting too much on it. I'm going to actually just add a couple petals on this side, like orange flowers. It's okay if it doesn't show up as a full petal. it's kind of nice when it's kind of faint like that. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more red to make it a little darker of an orange. I'm liking that. And then I'm going to take my orange and add some yellow to it, and then go down here and do some petals. Just think about like the shape of the flower towards the base. It's going to go out further. I kind of think of it, honestly, I'm thinking of it kind of like a pine cone, which is kind of funny, but that totally works. So, get close to the bottom there. Just gonna fill it in just a little bit. And then to get a little dimension, I'm going to add a little bit of red and make it darker so I can add some dimension onto it. So our flower definitely has some nice red highlights. And then I'm going to take some yellow and white and just add a little bit of low lights. Maybe a bit much, so take that down. Okay. My glove is kind of falling away from my fingers, so you want to make sure every few times that you paint that you're pulling your glove down too. Okay, so we're going to do one more orange kind of colored flower. It's going to be close by. Let's go right here. Kind of orange red. And then I'm actually gonna take some yellow ochre and kind of put it at the bottom. Of that flower. Gonna add a few more petals just on the inside. With my combination of my yellow ochre and my reddish color. All right, cool. And then we just need some highlights on that. So I'm gonna do some yellow highlights. Some yellow highlights. That looks good. I'm going to do some light orange highlights down here. I'm totally painting my easel at this point too. All right, so now we're gonna wipe our gloves. We're gonna go back to white because we're gonna do the white for the bluebells. Oh man, getting paint everywhere. Okay, so you wanna do, in between these two, we're gonna do some white strokes. Want to add a couple here from your white flower before. Add up here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I'm just gonna maybe do one or two here. And then, so we're gonna, our next color that we're gonna do, we are gonna mix one more color, and we're gonna make kind of a blue purple. So we're going to just add take some blue, add a little bit of red to it. Because we want it to be a different color than, it is a little bit darker that way. I'll add a little bit more red. Perfect. So now I have like this dark blue, kind of somewhat semi-purple color that I can use. And then we'll use the regular blue, and then we'll use blue and white together. So, all right. I'm gonna wipe this so now that I'm done mixing. Okay. And then you want to take your dark color, you want to go in kind of underneath. Make petals. Can even put a little bit on top of the white so the white peeks out a little bit. We want some darkness, so I'm going to put some here. You don't want to paint it all blue, but you do kind of want blue elements at the bottom. And here. So there's that. Take some blue here, and then a couple more. Okay, and now I'm just going to use regular blue, which should be a little bit lighter, and then we'll lighten that up with some blue and white accents. So I'm taking my just plain blue and make some petals. I'm going to go over some of the dark spots too a little bit. I might even use my pinky just so I get some smaller petals. Mm-hmm. this up. Okay. And I wiped out my fingers. All right, wipe my hand. So we're going to take some of our regular blue and our white and mix that together so we can kind of spread that over top. Gonna get a little more white and blue. Okay. We also need some white elements. And I kind of want to, this white part right here looks like it's in the background, and we want it to look more like it's in the foreground. So I'm going to make some more petals here. Pinky. All right, so I like that. So you can see that it's in front of that orange flower. Want to go over this too. Now this will take a while to dry because there are sections that have pretty thick paint on them. I'm going to take my blue and white down a little bit further, I think, till about here. And then I want to add, I think, just some blue and white accents in other places. So let's add some right here, add some right here, maybe. And yeah, that's pretty good. Going to kind of smooth out some of these petals. Now I can go back and add a little bit of low lights too with some of the darker tone. And then I'm also going to add some white just right here. Okay. So you can spend as much time as you want playing with your petals. You can keep adding, you can define them, but that's essentially our painting. And it's beautiful wildflowers that you made with your own bare hand. Well, you can make it with a bare hand, or you can make it with a glove. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.